Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Charlotte Canion on today's show.
Hi, I'm your host, Charlotte Canion, award-winning author of the book You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, How to Parent Your Parents. And tonight we've got the pleasure of interviewing Barbara Hopkinson. She is the founder of The Butterfly's Journey, and her books deal with GRM. Now, we'll find out more about GRM later. Barbara, welcome to the show.
Hi, Charlotte. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Barbara, give us a little bit of your family life, and then we're going to get, I know people want to hear about your background and, how you got into things. So just tell us a little bit about your family.
Sure. Yeah, my background is corporate world and 10 years with IBM. But during that time, I lost 3 children. And so that's what started me into the grief world and to, work with people on resilience after loss. And then later on, my second husband died suddenly as well. So, wow. So now, yeah, it was about 3 years ago. And then I've lost the sight in one of my eyes. And, it's just been a lot of different kinds of things, but it taught me a lot about resilience. And so now that's my purpose in life, is to help other people find resilience after all kinds of loss. And luckily, but I have my remaining son, has given me 2 grandchildren, not great grandchildren. They're only like 3.5 and 1.5. And my stepsons, I have 2 stepsons and a stepdaughter. And the 2 stepsons have also just recently, and their wives have had babies. So I've got 4 little ones that I'm thrilled about. And I live north of Boston, in a place I love. So
that is super. You're one amazing woman to have survived all of that, and I'm so proud of you. Tell us a little bit, and I know you started this journey before you lost your late husband, but give us a little little insight. I know you have a book, you've written about it, and we'll talk about that as well. But give us a little insight of when was your first inkling that you were going to write a book about, grief management.
Yeah. Well, after my 1-year-old son died, and my 30-year marriage fell apart, I actually started a support group, the Compassionate Friends of Greater Newburyport. It's one chapter of the Compassionate Friends USA has about 600 chapters. It's the largest grief organization in the world. And after doing that for several years, and I still run that 18 years later, but after doing that for quite some time, I decided that I really wanted to focus. So when I left IBM and kind of retired, I decided to focus and finish my first book, which was called A Butterfly's Journey, Healing Grief After the Loss of a Child. And A Butterfly's Journey is also the name of my second nonprofit, which is broader and more national grief, where the Compassionate Friends is a local support group.
Now, Butterfly's Journey is basically your memoirs going through the journey, correct?
Yeah, it's got 2 parts. It's about, the first part is about the 2 weeks from the phone call to the funeral, and kind of where I thought I was in the stages of grief and all that. But the second part, I think, is more important. It was 10 years later and what I learned. Kind of all the spiritual awakening that I went through, because my journey was really about me figuring out whether or not my son's spirit continued. And it does. All of our spirits continue. I have lots of evidence of that. And so it was really about that, and about kind of the 3 most important things I learned from that whole journey.
And can you share with us, if not all 3, a few of those, what you learned?
Yeah, I think number 1 was, it's all about the love. Really, it's really about the focus on the positive and the love and the memories, and the fact that love doesn't end just because your life ends. The love doesn't end. There's still a connection there. Also, that helping others helps you heal tremendously. I knew that instinctively. And thirdly, basically trust your gut, like trust your intuition. Do what you know is right for you. Don't worry about all the advice you get from everybody. So it was kind of in reverse order of their importance.
And you did this, what is amazing to me is that you're just not wallowing in pity. And pity is probably one of those words that, you tell people it's okay to have it for a short time, but let it go. Am I correct on that?
A few things that are good to let go. Pity is one of them because everybody goes through something. And if you really look around, you'll find that a lot of people are going through a lot worse than you are. But it's also, forgiveness is a tough one, right? Because you go through anger. And with a lot of deaths, especially if there was a cause that you weren't involved in, you get very angry. And I think most people get angry just at the loss. So the idea of forgiving yourself or forgiving others, you forgive for yourself. You don't forgive for other people. They may or may not care whether you forgive them, but you're the one that's all tied up in knots. So if you can, work on the forgiveness part and work on the self-pity part and really realize that you're not alone, that your loved one's spirits do continue. They are still in touch with you. People have varying levels of success at how much in touch they are or what they believe in. But the point is, it's like physics says, nothing ever really goes away. It just changes form, kind of between energy and matter. It's a law of physics. So that's what started me on that path. And then I did a lot of spiritual learning to be comfortable with it, and was lucky to have some signs and some people that could actually communicate that were friends of mine.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned forgiveness. That's the last chapter in my book. And my forgiveness was, unforgiveness is an anchor, but forgiveness is the freedom, because we've all had someone that's hurt us, or we've hurt someone in our lifetime, and we have to forgive.
Yeah.
The one thing that's interesting in my case, mine was caring for 3 parents, and I was preparing with the Alzheimer's dementia. I was preparing for the death. You had sudden death. That has to be, something that, and I know other people deal with it. We had 136 car pileup, and I think 30 some odd people died, here during all the storms. And I can't imagine, a 30-year-old dad of 2 little kids to be lost, how that wife feels. And I'm so proud of you. You said you have a national group. Tell us a little more about that national group.
The Butterfly's Journey is my primary nonprofit. And it's 3 kinds of services. I have a free online resource center with hundreds of resources, broad-based, across 10 different categories. And then I do grief recovery method classes, either over Zoom or in person, but those are grief recovery. I'm an advanced certified grief recovery method specialist. That methodology is the only evidence-based methodology for grief, and it's been used for 40 years globally on 6 continents. So it's very, very proven. And again, it's been evidence-based, which is unusual. And so that's the second, third, and the third one is Faces of Resilience photo shoots. I literally do a mobile photo shoot. That's what the photo book was about. And I go to grief-related events with a backdrop and lights, photographer, and literally encourage people. It's all about open expression of grief, loss, and love. So encourage them to express themselves, and then I write that phrase on their skin with washable magic marker, and we take photos of them and edit them and send it to them. So it's very cathartic and visceral for them to express themselves about their grief, and then it's a catalyst for them to talk about their grief after we send them the photo. So it's again, and then I did the first book. That was you can see a little bit there with the issue on the on the cover. But anyway, that's the first book, which is kind of general, different kinds of grief, and each one has got just a couple of phrases about what the relationship was or what the death was. And then what I wanted to do is a whole series of these books, with things like, maybe one for siblings, one for widows and widowers, one for suicide and overdose with the epidemics. Who knows? But anyway, that's being planned.
Well, Barbara, it is all just fascinating, but we're coming close to where we have to take a break for our sponsors to, do their thing. But this has been amazing, and I know she's got a lot more exciting things to tell us, so stay tuned.
Marianne Fairmouth is a career consultant with 30 years experience in the national recruiting world, a multi-award-winning author in multi-genres, and a speaker that gives presentations to help you succeed. Her book, Revolutionary Recruiting, made the top 20 global list of recruiting books. Find her on Amazon, your favorite bookstore, or at fairmont.com.
Factor 7, the newest thriller by author J.D. May, will keep you turning the pages with mystery, betrayal, lies, and infidelity. Ripped from the headlines, Factor 7 follows two prominent doctors who uncover a clandestine plot to spread a bioweapon with a 98% mortality rate. Journey with them as they experience a world of murder, power, intrigue, and corruption, where it becomes deadly clear that exposing the truth is just as dangerous as the weapon they seek to expose.
Welcome to the Lone Star Festival, where Texas authors, artists, and creators come together for a Texas-sized event. Join us on May 29, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Town Square, downtown Seguin, Texas. Free for all readers, produced by Texas Authors Institute of History, sponsored by B4R.store, a bookstore for readers, Authors Marketing International, and the City of Seguin.
To embrace your children's imagination, check out Diane Floyd Bame's books for kids. There's The Moonling Adventures, all about the animals in the Serengeti. And then there's Harry the Camel, learning to love yourself just the way you are. Then The Little Girl in the Moon. There's one about friendship, another one about the big ideas, which is an inspirational story. And then Tour Tycho Town, right there in Tycho Crater on the moon. All of Diane Floyd Bame's books are available at B4R Store.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Charlotte Canion on today's show.
Hi, this is Charlotte Canion, and I've got the pleasure of speaking with Barbara Hopkinson, and she is the founder of the Butterfly Journey. We've been talking a little bit about her journey after losing a husband and 3 kids. Barbara, can you expound and tell people what GRM stands for?
Grief recovery method. So it's a methodology. It's a 7 or 8 week class with a book and homework. It's action based, and it's got several tools that you can use and then reuse for other situations. But it really helps you complete your loss. It has a lot of work around undelivered communications and things that make it quite effective. And like I said before, it's evidence based, so it's quite proven. It's been used 40 years on 6 continents.
And that's tied to your picture book?
No, there's 3 different services. Butterfly's Journey is the nonprofit. And then the 3 services, one is the grief recovery method classes that I got an advanced certification in. One is the Free Resource Center, and one is the Faces of Resilience photo shoots. And that photo book is the one we were just talking about.
And that's a part of grief recovery as well, is them sharing their story, correct?
Oh yeah, I mean, talking about it is one of the best things you can do, but our culture doesn't work with that very well. It doesn't allow people to really express themselves. So the photos are all about open expression of grief, loss, and love. And there's something visceral about it when you're actually writing on your skin. I mean, I've had people have me write on their faces, on their chests, but I mean on their arms, and it's just visceral, and so it allows them to express how they're feeling, and then again we send them a professionally edited photograph, and they can use it, they can display it, they can print it, frame it, whatever they want, but it allows them to then talk about their grief with the people that surround them,
that is super. Can you show us a couple of the pictures that you have that are I'm sure you have some favorites.
Book, and oh yeah, but I didn't mark any pages here. Give me a second. God, let's see. Here's one. Weakness is strength, right? And Glenn lost his son Noah and his sister Heather. Went through an operation. I've got one that's lovely, but I've got to find the page. Here's an interesting one. There's another man. He's basically say guys grieve hard, and he's got damage written across his forehead. And he and his wife lost their son Cody at age 14 in an ATV accident.
And with you saying that guys grieve harder, of course, that was his saying. Do you think it's true we women cry easier and that men hold it in?
Well, I think what's especially true is that women reach out to other women and get to talk about it more, and men don't really have that habit or that opportunity. Not that they don't have an opportunity, but they don't have the habit to do that.
And you think it's easier for them to talk to the same gender?
Yes, that's probably part of it. Also, one thing it's difficult is people, spouses or partners grieve very differently. Right? Everybody's unique in their grief, and females and males grieve quite differently, and that sometimes causes problems, as it did in my marriage. I mean, that wasn't the reason. That wasn't the whole reason it broke, but it was a catalyst for it. Here's one. This is her name is Barbara as well. You're always mine, and I'm always yours. She lost her a son to suicide and a daughter to a drunk driving accident. So there's all different kinds of things here. I can't find the page right away, but the one of the things that they always got to me, one of my friends, and she lost her son to an overdose, and it just said, no shame, no blame, just love. You know.
Ooh, yeah.
There's another one. So I'll take pictures. I've got 8 languages so far, because I love it when people have foreign languages and I just need an English translation so that I can put both in the book. And one couple came in and I took a picture of them, but they had a beautiful Dalmatian service dog named Holly. And I took her a picture with the dog and a picture of them together. And I said, can I take just the dog? And she put her daughter, they had lost their daughter. They put their daughter Robin's picture on the dog's collar and took a picture of that. The dog is just beautiful.
Wow.
Luckily,
Wow.
I'm looking for it while I'm talking to you.
Yeah. Well, tell us, you said you had several books. What are you working on now?
Okay, well, the other ones I did a Faith Finding Answers in the Heart, Volume 2, which is a collaborative of 14 women. And then there's an anthology series called Grief Diaries, and I co-authored 2 of those, Will We Survive and Surviving Pet Loss. And then most recently, I was invited to be part of the Global Achievers. And so it's a book, it was originated out of Australia, and it's global entrepreneurs, and giving tips around that sort of thing and telling their story, which is lovely. And then I've got 2 coming up. One is Finding Joy in the Journey with Vanessa Blackwell, also an anthology, and then Red Blazer, which is women blazing to success. The title's a little sketchy there, but anyway, yeah. So it's interesting. It's fun. I like writing, and you get into it, and it's very cathartic as well.
And I bet you've gotten very close to some of your clients, and some more than others.
Well, I've been doing this support group for 18 years with local people. And then I've been traveling with those. I actually teach a resilience workshop as well. And I do these photo shoots. So I've done these photo shoots at the National Conference for the Compassionate Friends, for Bereaved Parents of the USA, for Overcoming Addiction Vigils, for Walks to Remember, all kinds of things. So some of these people that I've met and done, I've done them all over the country. And in 2019, before everything got shut down, I took them international to Canada, the Caribbean, and London. So I really would like to do more of that. And I've made so many friends during that process, because there's a bond, right? There's a special bond when you're talking about grief. And a lot of these people had lost children as well. I don't just do that, but it's a lot of the people that I spend a lot of time with and have made connections with.
And that they've lost. Well, I imagine it goes the gambit, everything from, women that have a miscarriage, that's a loss because they're attached to that child. I've always said that women are attached to the child before it's born, the dad not so much.
I don't know. My husband was pretty attached, but it is because you're already thinking about the future. And I had a miscarriage, a full-term stillbirth, and a 21-year-old, my 3 losses. And the reason I mention and include the miscarriage is because people don't get to be acknowledged and really grieve about the miscarriage. And once you're pregnant, you're already thinking in the future what that's going to be like, and you're visualizing, that person, and it absolutely is a loss.
Yeah, well, I had a miscarriage myself, so I can equate to that.
Yeah.
And I buried one husband to cancer.
Oh,
I've been married, 31 years now. So, I mean, it was 35 years ago, but, you never think about it. There are things, even today, bring back memories,
sure.
of
Somebody you're living with and you're sharing your everyday activities with. So when I lost my husband, it's like, I remember even writing a couple of blogs trying to make fun of myself to kind of get out of the doldrums, because I'd forget to take the garbage out. Or I'd think it's snowing. Oh my God, I have to go shovel. All the things that he used to do for us.
Yeah, especially if you live with them. Well,
Yeah.
Barbara, we're coming up on the next break, and I want everyone to stay tuned, because we're going to find out how we can contact this beautiful woman, and if you need her help. And I think every one of us in our lives, somewhere, sometime, need grief management. So stay tuned. We'll let our sponsors do their thing.
Publishing marketing package for authors. $1,500 value, save 40% now. Includes a 6-piece marketing kit of 250 bookmarks, 250 business cards, 250 postcards, 1 table banner, 1 table runner, and 50 download cards, plus book cover design, ebook creation, PDF setups, upload to Ingram Spark, scroll placement, video commercial, and interview on IBS. Plus much more. Email bourgeoismedia@look.com for details, or bourgeoismedia.com.
Hi, I'm Mel Greenberg, author of Running with Our Eyes Closed, book 1 in the Empty Nested series. To the world, Samantha has the perfect life. 3 wonderful children, a loving husband, so she thought, and a life split between Dallas and Italy. When her youngest leaves for college, it all comes crashing down, forcing Samantha to re-examine everything. Over 7 days in one of the most romantic countries in the world, Samantha faces the past she thought she'd overcome and begins to redefine her role as a woman, a wife, and a mother.
What would you do if you had to put your life on hold to care for a loved one? Well, during COVID, almost all of us have been doing just that. I'm Charlotte Canion, award-winning author, actress, and speaker. And my book, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, shows you how you can revive, thrive, and survive with 4 golden rules. You have to love one another. You have to respect one another. You have to have patience with one another. And most of all, you've got to forgive one another. I'm Charlotte Canion, and I approve this message.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Charlotte Canion on today's show.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Canion, and it's my pleasure to be interviewing Barbara Hopkinson today. She has a fascinating story and a fascinating life. She's written many books. One is the Butterfly Journal, and she's done this wonderful thing with pictures and writing on people's, if you haven't watched the whole show, you've got to get her book. Barbara, during this segment, I would like you to tell people how they can reach you if they want you, to come speak or come do your photo shoot, or if they need to get your book. I'm sure you have a website. So share some of that with us.
Okay, my primary website is abutterfliesjourney.org, and that's possessive, not plural, so it's FLYS. And on the butterfliesjourney.org, you'll see tabs for the grief recovery programs, the resource center, the photo gallery, etc. And you can reach me by phone is 617-410-6309. And then lastly, info@abutterfliesjourney.org is my email. But I'll repeat the phone number again, 617-410-6309.
Barbara, before we get off of here, I usually ask my authors to, and I know we've already figured out why you're writing, but have you written your whole life? Have you journaled your whole life? Or is this something new?
I had not journaled. About 6 months after my 21-year-old died, his brother, who was 19 and not into writing or books or stores, went into a bookstore and bought me a leather refillable leather-bound journal. And because he had given that to me, I started writing, and I was amazed at how cathartic it was. And basically 8 journals later, I started taking writing courses, and I actually even went down to New York and took some specialized writing classes and started the book. And so then I finished that book, and then it just became, I started getting more opportunities and doing more writing. So I ended up, I love it. But.
Yeah, it's like we found our calling. I had the same thing. Actually, mine came from heaven. God said, now write your book. And I went, oh my gosh, God, you want me to write a book? I didn't do well in English. He said, that's all right. We have editors. They can fix all of that. You know, so we have a lot in common. Now, one other thing I would like you to add, to tell our listeners, a lot of them are new writers. They haven't even probably maybe written a paragraph. They all have it up here. What advice would you give an author, you know, and of course I think we all have books inside of us. It's just, how do you get it out?
Yeah. And I'm nonfiction than fiction. So it blows my mind, the people that are so creative at fiction and can really create everything. But I guess I just needed to spend some serious time and think and focus. And you're right, I actually had 2 editors. Because different points of view and different things they brought to, you know, editing what I was doing. But I think just the focus and really kind of pouring your heart out and letting it sit and then going back and looking at it, you know, again, multiple times. I mean, it really takes many multiple revisions to get to the final product, I found. So just let it all out and then go back and trim it, I think.
I think one of my editors once told me, you dump it on the paper just as is, and then you get it right.
Yeah, true.
You know, just, you got it, you know, got to let it out.
Yeah.
Well, Barbara, this has been fabulous. And thank you so much for spending time with me today. And I want you to take with you the thought that a rose is like a book. You can't know its beauty until you look at it. And a book is like a rose. You won't know its full beauty until you open it. This is Charlotte Canion, and I want to wish you a very happy day and stay safe. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching or listening to the Indie Beacon Show, produced by Biala Bourgeois for the Authors Marketing International LLC. Copyright 2021. Voiceover by Biala Bourgeois. If you would like to be a sponsor of the show, please email us at authorsmarketing@outlook.com. If you would like to be on the show, please complete the form found on our website at indiebeacon.com. You may also watch previous year's shows on the website. Music is Frolic of Words, created for Indie Beacon